Good afternoon, everybody. It is 1:01 in the afternoon. I clicked the wrong stream, and anyways, it is a Thursday. It is the fourth day of the month, fourth day of the trade week, and it is Thursday, and it's chilly out. I was just streaming on the wrong channel, so I'm back to this one, and yesterday, I apologize, I was not here. The contractors are here. We had a little issue with the power, but that's okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got going on here. So Bitcoin had a little like kind of drifting of a sell yesterday, followed by some pickup overnight. One thing that happened that I thought was going to cause a little bit more of a move was that Bitfinex went into maintenance, and the schedule was supposed to be between 0600 and 1600 UTC, so that would be like 1 in the morning my time, and 1 in the afternoon. Yeah, 1 in the morning and then 1 in the afternoon. So that happened earlier in my AM, which was Bitfinex. It was announced on Twitter. 7 hours ago is when it happened. So, all right. We are close to reopening trading. Yeah, they weren't down for very long. So I thought for sure that would be some kind of catalyst to push up the market, because if you remember when BitMEX went into maintenance, all those shorts had to do something, but of course it really didn't see a lot of change. Otherwise, though, we've had a pretty nice kind of draw here. We see that a downtrend line has been broken to the bullish side. We had a flag pattern pop up here on the hourly. If we look at it, we can see a little bit more clear. Trend line break up. We have a bull flag, and looks like that's breaking up now too. So we may see some higher prices moving here. Volume is not the biggest. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how this moves. Looking at Ethereum, took it a little bit on the nose, but has traded back up. It's not having as big of a response as as Bitcoin is right now. Litecoin caught a little bit of a drive higher. We're just seeing a couple big. We have a big buy spike right there that's continuing to hold. Cardano, similar thing. We're right back into. We haven't deviated much in value, folks. It's been pretty much the same. Basic attention token has had a pretty nice rise. It's had its dollar pair was up 5%, but it's up 3.25% against Bitcoin. IOTA is doing all right. Nano's kind of floating around there. Wave's doing nothing. Walton Chain catching a little bit of a drive. So is Stellar. This might have a nice breakout. Ripple is just really, it's in a flat trading zone here, right around the 55 value area. Has not changed much. ZEC might have a nice breakout ahead of us here. We could see a pretty good pump if we're lucky. We could see a nice push up and out of here, and then ZRX actually has had a pretty nice drive, and ZRX. So I'm really excited about this one. The more I've done due diligence on it, the more I like it. I write for Coin Clarity, and there was a guy who commented about on a post I did last week or a couple of weeks ago about ZRX, and I don't know if I didn't catch the post or when exactly he wrote it. Maybe it was recently. He said he agreed with all my analysis, but then he thought I was dead wrong on ZRX, and I did reply to him saying you are correct. I'm dead wrong on ZRX when I said I didn't understand why it would be listed in there. But now that I did a little bit more, I guess it makes sense why I would think it was pointless, because I really didn't do enough research on it. So there you go. Then again, I'm not the biggest investor type. I just look at a chart and want to trade it. So yeah, we'll see if ZRX picks up a little bit of a move here or not. I think IOTA is ready for a breakout as well. Its chart looks pretty tasty for a drive up. We zoom out here. It's got a nice breakout opportunity coming. Volume has been stepping up in here as well. If you've been paying attention to the equity markets, I mean, shit's hitting the fan. But let's take a look at those in a second. On October 2nd, I posted this chart. Venus retrograde, falling U.S. equity markets, NASDAQ, S&P 500, Dow Jones, International. But then also back on September 14th, posted this about the DXY, the SPY, Bitcoin, first attack of troubles, looking at this confluence zone here kind of as a heads up. And then right where this box is October 5th through November 16th. And that is the Venus retrograde cycle. All right. Venus retrograde cycle is a pretty yucky time period for stocks, for U.S. stock market. It has a pretty high probability of selling off. These are the past 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I do any more? Yeah, the last 4 retrograde cycles of Venus have all been sell-off periods, and that is something I believe we should expect to see have happen again. And it's especially true. Notice that, when they happen, it's usually, there's usually some type of new market high, either a new swing high or an all-time high that is found during that time. So, we have a rise here, and then we have a sell-off. Goes back into the trend, but we're pretty elevated here. But look at the stocks right now. Yeah, I'll look it over here. So the ES is down 1.25. The NASDAQ is down over 2%. Probably could go below 2.5%. The Dow falling as well. Okay, these are all after the Dow made new all-time highs. The NASDAQ was trading near its all-time highs. And then the S&P 500 is trading near its all-time highs. I mean, we're looking at... Here's a daily chart. All-time high back on September 21st. That's a big drop. NASDAQ essentially today so far has wiped out the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 days of price action has been wiped out in only 5 hours of the open. I guess only, that's a lot. That's a pretty, and this is a pretty steep drive, folks. I mean, this is, you want to talk about a bearish candle? Even during the open, there was no pressure to test the top side here, okay? This opened, I mean, this is futures contracts, but it's, it's what it is. This opened and promptly sold off and has not even tried to test higher, okay? That is ugly. The volume's above average. That's a pretty big sell there. So again, we're transitioning into that Venus retrograde cycle. Whether this is just a dip that gets bought up, who knows? But we do know that we have a strong probability of going lower. Cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. Looks like IOTA just caught a little bit of a drive there. Cryptocurrencies are a little different. They tend to find, Bitcoin does at least, not that one. Where are you at? There we are. Bitcoin tends to find a lot of, where are we at? Retrogrades. Here's Venus. Either flat or rising markets. And And then really, I think when I've done the analysis on retrograde cycles, it's not so much what happens inside of the retrograde cycle, it's what happens after that is the most telling. So this is the Venus retrograde cycle, and we're getting into that right now. But if we look in the past, we've had a relatively from open to close, just slightly down to flat. Cycle before that, it was down and then trends up. One of the things that's pretty common, this is Mt. Gox, but one of the things that is the most common about these cycles in cryptos is that the market tends to rally at the end of them. That's a pretty consistent thing to see. And then equity markets are looking pretty rough. So yeah. The other thing I wanted to point out that I was looking at was, so this is a particular angle. This is 188 degrees of Mercury. It is the all-time low on this data. So the all-time low of 2 cents for Bitcoin is down here. And anniversary dates and anything anniversary is pretty important in any market. And so are angle relationships and planet relationships. So this is 188 degrees. And as it's been repeated, not these ones, but the blue columns, they often show a low of some sort prior to a rise. That was the last one over here prior to our rise, and then we have it again, showed up just back on September 26th. Something to watch. And then these lines here, these red and green lines, this is the synodic line. Not synodic. Yeah, it is synodic. Synodic lines of Jupiter and Uranus. It's a very natural support and resistance level for Bitcoin. Why? No idea. I just know that this has been a pretty standard area of support and resistance. You convert, really, folks, this is pretty, I mean, having software to do this is really nice, but you can do it on your own too, is you just look up for any day the longitudinal position of any planet and convert that into price is pretty easy. So, you just turn it into a price level. So, like taking Mercury, for example, 188 could be $188 or $1.88 or $18.80 or 0.1888 or 18,800. Depending on and that depends on the price range that you're trading. So, if you're trading something that's trading between, $1 and $10, then, you would probably use a scale where 1.88 is the longitudinal position. Okay. And then it just kind of moves as we go. So Bitcoin's kind of an interesting chart because it's had such an expansive trade range where we've gone up to trading in the 10,000s to below 1,000 to below 100. And so as we move along with this, we can see that, the angle relationship is maintained, but we don't see the same kind of flat support and resistance levels that we see up here because as prices have gone higher, I've had to adjust the scale. But we could certainly move it lower if we were to go back in time here. Instead of the scale being 10, it could be 1. And it still maintains a nice support resistance ratio. All right. Okay. So that's that. on the topic today, we're talking about flag breakout. That is exactly what it looks like we have going on here. I mean, we have a pretty standard looking bullish flag pattern here. We have this large breakout candlestick followed by some trading in a small channel, which is a flag, followed by a breakout higher here. We'll see if this is sustained or not, because we're coming up against a trend line. There are a metric crap ton of trend lines here that I've drawn from various angles, various swings, going all the way back to the very, very beginning of this chart. As far as cryptocurrency data is concerned, I think Bitstamp, as far as I know, it has the oldest data available going back to 2011. And so drawing some angles and trend lines from there gives us, and this looks weird here. This is a good example of why charting on software is a lot different than charting by hand. This angle, as we move out, look, the slope seems to change quite a bit. But it's interesting that I thought that it was interesting. We're kind of trading in between those ranges of those very first levels. But this is a pretty neat zone that we're in. I mean, you can see that there's just a ton of congestion down here, and not a whole lot up here as far as resistance angles in just going just by trend lines. And this is kind of like Hurst analysis, which I should pull up real quick. I love Hurst analysis. Oops. There we go. If you hear music in the background, that would be my contractor. One of the brothers. Okay, let's go to... I want a daily chart, though. And we're going to add Hurst. Troughs, yes. And then I want peaks. Okay, now I need valid trend lines and valid trend lines. Okay, real quick, for those of you who have not seen me do this before, Hurst cycle analysis is pretty lengthily, but thank God MotiveWave did the software for it, because basically, if you're familiar with like trying to find cycles for things, so if we did the sine waves, you know, you can use a sine wave tool. TradingView has one where you create a sine wave that kind of corresponds to, you know, peaks and valleys, okay? And then you would do that like on a monthly chart, and then you would do it on a weekly chart. So you'd have a color for a monthly, color for a weekly, color for a daily. And what you're looking for is like some confluent zones where the sine waves form a trough all in the kind of the same area. And that tells you in the future that there's a pretty good probability that you would have some type of swing low that would appear there. Or if you have a relative number of peaks that show up around the same time, to look for some type of swing high, because things travel in these waves and these patterns. The other way that you've probably seen them done is with these semicircles, these kind of mounds that go back and forth. All right. So if I'm looking at this daily chart, it's telling me that that there's a good probability of some type of low, major or minor swing low being found over here in December 4th. Because this is where we see the beginning and the end of a number of sine waves. But I don't like all those things on my chart, so I get rid of them. And I just keep these levels here, okay? Now, I need to zoom out farther so it calculates all of the lines. All right. Now I've got this. So what are all of these? Well, these are trend lines based on a certain number of time periods. So we've got the purple, which is the shortest time frame. The purple represents an 18-day time period. The blue represents a 35-day time period. The teal represents a 70-day, and then there's a 20-week for this lime green, and then the kind of lighter green. That's the 40-week. I cannot remember all of these. And then we have, what is that? I need to. Where is the... Why can't I find that? Well, that's okay. I think that is the 80 week, I think, maybe. So basically we have longer trend lines and shorter trend lines. And if I zoom in, I mean, this is just crazy here. Look at everything like just sitting in on top of each other. And so the major line we're looking at crossing is this longer term 80-week trend line, okay? This is where we're looking to find some type of move above, okay? On the longest time frame, the beginning and the end of a swing low of sorts is found here. This could definitely be that swing low. And we've already broken above the 18-day uptrend line. We're above that, and we're above the downtrend line. We're testing that the 70-day teal downtrend line. We're testing to hold above that. We're above the uptrend. The blue, the 40-day, that's holding. The 35-day, we just need to get above that. We need to get above all this bidness here. So really, again, that 6 to 800 value area, that is the key zone that we're still continuing to move and press against. And it is proving to be kind of a biatch to get above. So I'm just referencing that back to Hurst analysis, where this is the condition that we're in, and we could see that there's a whole lot of pressure up ahead. We could bring it to a 4-hour, do the same thing. It'll recalculate those levels the farther out we go. This software is sometimes pretty intense on your machine. Okay. Actually, the 4-hour looks kind of nice. I mean, so the teal is an 80-day trend line, and this is a 10-day trend line. The pink is a 10-day trend line. Big channel just kind of broke out of there. Flagging pattern. Could move higher. I like it. All right. Close that. So 66 80 would be the ideal area to get above and close above. Really, essentially want to get above the high that we got here at 66.96, 65.96. But I mean, there's a big oomph move that we need to do, and it would need to be a pretty significant drive higher. Ethereum, kind of the same story. Stuck inside this a little bit of range here. It's tried to sell off a little, but it's so far holding. I tell you what, there have been so many on big time frames and smaller time frames. These bottom forming head and shoulder patterns have been showing up frequently, and they have been faking out a lot of bears. They've been causing a lot of anxiety because there's a lot of people trying to trade and form the head and shoulders pattern instead of waiting for a neckline breakout. And so they're getting into them early. But bottom forming head and shoulder patterns, those are a very high probability of rejection and not getting filled. Okay. Basic attention token, IOTA. Nano. I mean, there's a lot of trade ideas that I don't think you would even need me to give out, because I mean, you can just tell that everything's in a consolidation zone and you just have buy orders resting above them. Or if you're going to actively manage them, wait for the breakout and see if there's a pullback. Limit the like I like to limit my exposure. So if I look at something like Walton Chain, and so I know Walton Chain's been kind of underperforming everybody lately, and I know it's found some support at this key inner pivot, not inner pivot, this Fibonacci level, and against this Gann arc. So I'm fine. This is one where because of its underperformance in the structure and the way it's been trading, I'm fine having some resting buy orders well above it. But for something else like that gets a little bit more attention, like Ripple, wherever you're at, Ripple, it's formed a pretty tight zone here, and I want to put a buy order above it. But what I'm most interested in seeing is a break higher, and then I want to get in on a retest. So I don't have any orders resting up here because I want to see the breakout happen. I want to see the sell-off happen after that, which I mean, this is a heavily traded pair, so we would more than likely see a sell-off on any pump, and then see if it holds that structure, and then if it does on the first kind of, if you see it on the fast time frame or slow time frame, then I want to get in on it to take that trade. Monero is kind of in the same boat, although Monero, I don't know about that one. Let's see what currency is doing right now. Jesus, NASDAQ going down lower? Sheesh. Look at that volume. Holy cow. That is a dump. Holy cow. I don't think there's been a dump that big. I mean, this is the daily. This is a 2.5% move we're getting. When did we last see something like that? This is there was one back here. This was on June. But other than that, that might be the exception of June, that might be the biggest. Or April. Oh, then April. Okay. Still, that's a bit of a drop. Big dip. See how many people are catching that knife. Venus retrograde. Jeez Louise. That's great. I kind of wish I was trading NASDAQ futures right now. The NQ, which futures is a beast. Oh, short interest has been decreasing as well. So we see Bitcoin shorts built this short chart. This was pretty awesome to see yesterday that prices came back up. We have a bear pennant here, traded up against this pivot, and then we promptly started to see some selling pressure. Ethereum, I don't have anything drawn there, but we can see that is facing a lot of selling pressure. 8%. People are getting out of their short positions. Freaking Ripple has just continued to move up. Whenever Ripple goes up, the short positions travel with it equally, so that's pretty nuts. But I think we have a pretty nice bullish setup popping up here. There's definitely, we're seeing equity markets face a lot of selling pressure. The Forex market as well is facing, when U.S. equities go down, the dollar yen typically goes down as well. It's made new yearly highs. It's got this beautiful double top. Oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. Beautiful double top here at yearly highs. But the Aussie dollar is selling off. The New Zealand dollar is. Gold, selling pressure. It was up quite a bit on the day, but now it's just kind of holding here. But pretty nuts, the broader financial market activity that we've got going on, and we're seeing some activity come into cryptos as well. So looking forward to a little bit of a bullish drive here in Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin, just the whole market. We've just got such a really tight range, folks, that there's going to be these breakouts. So, this is really just kind of find your favorites, and just you don't even really need to go super advanced with any kind of analysis. Just look at the charts. If you have anything that looks like Ethereum and Bitcoin, where you have a bullish flag, your entries are going to be above the previous swing high in that bull flag, so above here. If you're looking at something like EOS, actually is doing pretty good. Basic attention token, where you've got a pretty flat distribution here. Your breakouts are above all this distribution. It's up here. Ripple's the same way. ZRX is not. Zcash, we're in a breakout pattern here where the next drive up is going to be above the 125.89. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. We could be starting like on a minor leg here. Could be this is a third leg up here possibly. So yeah, cool markets. Other than that, really don't have a lot more to go over. I really want to save and keep looking at what we have. Oh, geez, what's going on here? Wow, NASDAQ's continuing to sell off. What do we got in... Just looking at Fox Business. Okay. Yeah. Probably by the time we are off the horn here, we should see should see some technical breakout happening. The whole McConnell talking today over Kavanaugh confirmation, that's not having a lot of effect in the markets at all. I mean, it's kind of a moot issue for the market. But really, what is causing like this broad market drive here is Venus retrograde cycle, time cycles. That's what I call it. But everybody in the news is saying that. I mean, come on, we've been talking about a fall here ever since the 14th of September. We've been talking about this, and even before this. I mean, we've been talking about some type of fall in equities and everything else on the 5th, on or around the 5th. I mean, this is not anything new, but all the pundits on CNBC and Fox Business, the reason they're saying is because Fed Chair Jerome Powell says that the economy is the best that, well, what did he say? I don't want to put words in his mouth. He said that they've had periods of low unemployment and low inflation, but never at the same time and as long as this. And there something I was reading, he said that this could be something that is indefinite, and this is something that is projected to last a long time. I don't think that that's very true. If we look at Gann's financial cycle, this is exactly how things are supposed to be prior to a panic phase. This is exactly how things are supposed to get, okay? It probably starts with the U.S. having elevated dollar and all the other world's currencies sucking, and then the U.S. is private businesses and government is able to buy things so much cheaper from around the globe from everybody else. That kind of floods into the pockets again, but the underlying issues of money supply and monetary central bank issues in other countries, those aren't going to go away in the next few years. So this entire panic and crash cycle that we're expecting in 2020 to 2021, that's still on the table. But this entire business right here that we're getting into, this booming economy, this euphoria drive that we're getting, that's totally normal. This is the exact kind of stuff that precedes a fall. This stuff doesn't happen you don't get a rising bull market and then have this happen at the beginning of it. I mean, stuff starts to build up and gain value beforehand. I mean, I want us to take a look at that, and I've been starting preaching about like the stock market and stuff, but I think this is important to recognize, is that we can use Bitcoin's chart as a good example. I want to go to the daily. Pretend that this chart is the Dow, okay? And pretend that this is, I don't know, like a weekly chart. Or that this is all the way back to 2009. Okay, 2009, that's what is happening here. Right now is where we're sitting in the Dow and the NASDAQ and the S&P right up over here with this booming economy, rising interest rates, like unemployment is like almost non-existent. The only people that aren't working are people we're paying to not work, or people who actually have real disabilities and are unable to work. But then what we get into is this right here. I think this is what 2020, mid 2019 to late 2020, I think that's what this looks like. Public participation phase. Everybody and their dog is throwing money in the market and in speculation. And smart people got out around here. Smart people were distributing at the top, hanging on to cash. I think that is definitely what we have going on in our current stock market. So, again, there's really no expansive multi-year long bull market that has started off with such crazy economic numbers and data and forecasts. Okay, that never happens. Stuff like right now, with every single financial pundit on the planet who've been going on and on about how crazy this market is and how bullish it is, and how it's going to last forever and a day. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you hear about people wanting to buy the tops of things. But I mean, the thing is, it's dangerous to call tops because clearly, the stock market has just continued to go up. We will more than likely see a lot of people buying the dip. That is the way things happen. So I think we got dip buying going on right now, probably. Yeah, a little bit. But anyways, so on Binance has us trading at 6,600. Oh, something about Tether. Tether, where was that article? I wouldn't hang on to Tether, folks. There's a lot of stable coins coming into the market, and Tether is not a safe. It's never been a stable coin. I remember you mentioned before that equities can make new highs when it doesn't make sense. How does that contrast to the fall you're anticipating in the markets? Oh, like you mean the fall that's coming up right now? Oh yeah, and I know there's a delay, so I'll wait for you to answer. I'll just keep talking and then I'll answer it when you answer. Tether is not a stable coin at all. What I mean by stable coin is something that is backed up by fiat money like TrueUSD. Now TrueUSD is on Binance, and TrueUSD. Oh yeah, Lewis. Oh yeah. So I mean, I'm not expecting like this retrograde cycle to precipitate to be a catalyst for a big crash. I think we just see a big dip and then it gets bought back up, and then that recovery just kind of fuels the fire, so to speak. I expect it to do exactly what it's done like here in the past. You see these sell-off cycles followed by recovery. I really expect it to do that. But yeah, I need to do some more long-term forecasting and get a price and angle relationship and correlate that with other things going on. So I have figured out through trial and error that I will never be as good as William Delbert Gann when it comes to forecasting dates and events, but he could do it years in advance. I try to catch things within a few weeks or a couple months. That way, I don't know. Maybe that's the best way to do it. Maybe that's how he did it too. But I mean, yeah, it's nuts. Okay, so the Bitcoin, where you at? The Tether thing. Tether has been losing. Let me find the article here. Tether collapse could bring. Yeah, this was on Seeking Alpha. I don't know if any of you have Seeking Alpha, but this is a great site for stocks and everything. Tether's a scam. Let's talk about why. Majority of cryptocurrency trading takes place on Tether. If Tether fails, could rally Bitcoin. Tether is the largest well-known stablecoin. It claims that all of its tokens are backed one-to-one by dollars. That is not true. All right. No, not even. No. If you can do this yourself, you take what Tether says is their liquid Tether out there that is available for trading, and compare that against the trade volume on the exchanges, especially Bitfinex. there is shystery. So anyways, Tether, yeah, people only do it because they want to avoid dollars. Yes. Some exchanges are too shady to deal in US dollars because they have to comply with KYC, AML, and la da 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 da. Tether was created in 2014 and so forth. But here's the big part, okay? Audit, they lost their relationship with Wells Fargo. That was the kind of the first red flag. And then the Paradise Papers, should look at those, see how interconnected our entire global powerful are. Not like maybe they know each other, but they all go to the same place for business. Dubious Bitcoin exchange, Bitfinex. Yes, Bitfinex is, I think, the dirtiest exchange out there right now. Very shady stuff goes on Bitfinex. Blatant spoofing of the order book. Blatant. Not even trying to hide that it happens. Not even doing anything to get rid of it either. Just blatant spoofing happens on their order books. 2018, Tether broke up with their auditor, Friedman LLP. A law firm did a financial audit. Yeah, it's... We'll keep going here. It was provided by a law firm. Fake trading volume is driven by Tether. Wash trading. Wash trading is when a... this happens in Forex all the time. Like Forex brokers. Oh, and I should point this out. So people like me usually also have some type of agreement with a broker. They have like an IB contract, an introducing broker contract. So basically, educators all over the place, they provide education and then they try and sell you a broker. And then I would get a kickback. Like I'd get 20% of the fees that you generate on the broker. I would get kickback. So I'm incentivized to increase people to go to their to go there. I don't do that. I don't believe in doing that. I think that is a bad practice. I think it's disingenuous. But if by law I have to disclose if I was doing that, so you could ask me and I can tell you honestly that we don't have an introducing broker contract. I don't have an introducing broker contract, so I'm not trying to sell you out to some type of exchange or Forex broker. I mean, that is, I don't like that stuff. But wash trade, like the reason brokers want retail traders is because they provide liquidity. All right. Constantly buying and selling is something that they want. But Forex brokers, some illegal and some not, will do wash trades where they'll buy and sell against each other, like on the exchanges. This has been coming out a lot more, that some of these exchanges are doing that to fake liquidity and fake participation in the market. They are trading against each other just to create the illusion of trading. So yeah, there's a lot of fake Kraken, known illegal wash trading. I think they've stopped this, though. I'm pretty sure they have. So, okay. How much of the volume is faked? According to Bitfinex's earlier this year, it's over 83%. This is a great article, by the way. I'm going to link this. And I have been talking about Tether like it's an STD for a long time. How to play the coming Tether collapse. Here's the thing, I mean, like Tether has so much superficial, inflated amount floating around that it's going to become a victim either of getting shut down regulation wise, or it's just going to become a victim of of inflation. Like, you can only print so much fake money before it collapses. You can only print so much fake tether before it finally collapses. And what is that going to do? Where do people put their tether? Into Bitcoin. So they're going to have no choice but to flood Bitcoin with this shitty tether. Okay? It is very good for Bitcoin. And tether is not backed, but True USD, that is, this is based in the States. Okay? $1 for $1. You know, you can, I mean, this is on, it's on, and I would expect Binance to switch to this if they want to remain credible. You know, Bittrex has this. Oh yeah, here. I mean, Binance has it already, but I mean, I think they should switch over all their, this is, I tell you what, and I'm getting like excited about this because once a major exchange decides to stop using Tether, shit's gonna hit the fan. I mean, it's gonna be crazy. I mean, because it'll be a waterfall effect. Once one exchange does it, I mean, you're gonna see people just dumping it left and right. I mean, and the other exchanges won't be able to do anything about it because there will be no other safe place to put it other than something like True USD. And there's other stable coins out there as well. Binance, you can convert Tether into True USD, which almost makes me wonder if that is not exactly why Binance has that pair there. Because that pair's been there for not a long time, but not recently either. So this is a, if you want to talk about a catalyst, Tether collapsing, big catalyst. Tether's so scammy. I mean, I don't like. I trade Tether pairs, but only because, you know, I'm going to be monitoring that position and looking at it. But I tell you what, it's yeah. So True USD is a safe. I mean, you're entitled to the dollar where you have the token. You are entitled to $1. All right, very, very easy. Then Gemini, they have one now, the Gemini dollar. That is a new GUSD. There's all sorts of others that are coming out too, which is great because, I mean, stable coins. Ironically, that is exact opposite of what what Satoshi Nakamoto wanted, was to have a stable coin that was just a derivative of a fiat currency. But nonetheless, that's how it is right now. So Gemini dollar, True USD, folks, Tether is, I think it is gambling to hold on to any Tether, because it could quickly be useless. And there are already warning signs that that's going to happen, because Tether is losing value against other Tether pairs. It's losing against True USD. Where's that at? Here's the thing. If you are Bitfinex or BitMEX or any other exchange who has a shit ton of fake US derivative dollars from Tether, are you going to convert that at the market right, just like that? Are you going to just immediately convert those into stable coins? No. You're going to do it over a long period of time, and you're going to keep it hidden. You're going to slowly distribute and accumulate Bitcoin or True USD or Ethereum or something else, because you don't want to be sitting there. Exchanges won't want to be sitting holding bags of Tether because it's worthless. It's still worth something right now, but I mean, yeah, Tether. I do not go to bed at night with Tether sitting in my exchanges that I trade. Nope. An exchange, whether you're using the euro, the Canadian dollar, the Japanese yen, the British pound, or the US dollar, if you're not trading actual fiat currency against cryptocurrencies, like if it's not Bitcoin US dollar, then it better not be Bitcoin US dollar Tether, USDT. Those are recipes for disaster. So Kraken, you do real dollars with, is dollar to dollar. They use real dollars. Coinbase uses real dollars. Where else? Bittrex is using real dollars. So, but Tether, oh my gosh, I can't really stress enough how bad Tether is and how you could get caught having something very worthless in your account. I mean, yeah, it's, in fact, do I have the, I don't know how it's doing now. True USD to Tether on Binance. True USD is performing, well, it was really outperforming Tether, which this is a warning sign. Okay, True USD is an actual stable coin. And if Tether was a stable coin, they should not have any divergence. Okay, maybe a little here and there, maybe 0.3, 0.25, 1% difference. No. These are warning signs, and it's not a warning sign of instability in True USD. It's a warning sign of instability in Tether. So it's very, very dangerous. If we compare where is it? Wait, is this still? This is Tether. Oh, sorry. This is Bitcoin versus Tether versus Bitcoin. I want to see BATD. Is it BTC BTC USD? Maybe they don't have that. Damn it. Oh well. Regardless, I mean, be sitting in True USD if you got to sit in something. If you got to sit in something that's worth $1, that's that's the one I'd sit in. Okay, enough preaching about that. It's time for me to go. Tomorrow we may have quite a bit to review tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a big old BART up overnight. Maybe after we're done talking, we'll see that. So, new hour coming up. You guys have a good rest of your afternoon. Have a good rest of your Thursday. If I don't see you tomorrow, have a good week. Forex Lens, folks, I'll see you in the morning at 6:30, and the rest of you, I'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.